You ask and shall receive. You want a part 2 on the do's, don'ts, and the solution of doing any of these diets because you're stuck? Let's get into it. Welcome everyone to my crazy life. Now, I did a video talking about the do's and the don'ts and the solutions. I want to go more into a deep dive because you guys were asking for a part 2. Let's go deeper. Let's dig more to find out some of the problems. Now, I wrote a list here because there's so many. We've got dried out skin. Now, the dried out skin could be because of your thyroid. A lot of people aren't eating enough fat, or they're not in ketosis while doing an all-meat diet, and their thyroid T3 drops in, their skin starts to dry out, as well as their hair brittle. When people fast on top of the thyroid, on top of a meat diet, their adrenals take a hit, cortisol rhythm takes a hit, sex hormones take a hit, and the skin. Seriously. Now, I want to go over some of the die-off symptoms. That's another problem people have when you are coming from the world of salads and the world of really cheese or nuts or any type of high histamine food. Coffee, cheese, nuts, dairy, which is the way in casein, the protein within each type of dairy. We have the oxalate dumping. We have the keto flu. A lot of you guys out there, your bodies get used to the said food that your body has a difficulty dealing with in terms of histamine or digestion. But when you take it out, now the tolerating and the body trying to find a way to get into some type of homeostatic balance, it just goes away. All those things trying to keep inflammation down, they go on vacation and you explode. So let's say you've gone from eating high oxalate foods, which is like spinach and kale and dark chocolate. Stevia is another one. Some of the leafy green family, and you go from eating a bunch of that to doing an all-meat diet, and in the beginning you feel good until you don't. The oxalate dumping can manifest in your eyes itching, your breast itching, oxalate crystals in the vulva, kidney stones, can manifest in joint pain, muscle pain. It's gnarly. And you might want to slow down instead of like flipping overnight from a bunch of veggies to a carnivore diet. I would go down slowly over about 6 weeks, and each week see how your body reacts in terms of starting to dump the oxalates. Now, Sally Norton, I feel, has done great work, but I think she has made everyone believe that every pain and ache is an oxalate, because that's what the people say. And I'm like, no, there are other pains and aches you need to consider. People who are experiencing fibromyalgia and severe histamine intolerance, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, may not have an oxalate overload. But look for the symptoms of, like I mentioned, itch, skin, kidney stones, seemingly to be UTIs, but there's no infection. Look out for those symptoms. I didn't go largely into the constipation issue or loose stool. If you are constipated, where you have hard nuggets, or if you have diarrhea, you're still constipated. When you have diarrhea, it's either your gallbladder or your body's trying to get this shite out in some kind of way. But unfortunately, that is still considered constipation, because just because you have loose stool doesn't mean that you're emptying out the bowels. And this often happens on a carnivore diet because of an electrolyte imbalance, typically, or gallbladder issue, or a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and your body does not know how to deal with the amount of foods that you have started to eat. So diversify your foods, get your sodium, potassium, magnesium in check. Make sure you drink enough water, not too much water, because too much water can dilute sodium within the blood, and you still are constipated, and you still dehydrated. Let's talk about the heart palps. Heart palpitations can be a potassium deficiency, or it can be your sodium potassium off. Like you have too much potassium, then it's going to drop your sodium, and if you have too much sodium, it's going to drop your potassium, and that can manage, or you might have a heart palp response to that. This is typically from dehydration. You can also get a heart palp from histamine, and the thyroid. But histamine is a subject that people really just don't understand. Histamine can manifest in anything: headaches, tired, skin issues, bloat, anal itch, vaginal issues, candida overgrowth, pain that you can't understand where it's coming from, lack of focus, brain fog, craving sugar, just overall feeling sick. Histamine can manifest in one, two, or all of those ways, really. So what do you do about it? Well, I would start eating thymus, which is right here on a young animal. It has diamine oxidase in it, which is an antihistamine. There's also kidney, which is wonderful. And I'm not talking about the desiccated, freeze-dried, pulverized into a capsule organ meats in a pill. I mean the real stuff. You also have to consider things like your gut. When you drop out the fiber, and a lot of people like to argue this point, when you drop out your fiber and your gut is used to fiber, that's a problem. So your gut's used to fiber, drawing water or creating bulk to poop out, and you don't eat enough fat, which helps lubricate the colon, the tubes, and you're chronically dehydrated, or you have a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or just a leaking gut in general, in terms of your small intestine, and then your large intestine's been compromised as well, and you're eating a bunch of meat and the colon's not used to that, the solution is not to go and dig even harder in doing a carnivore diet. You have to get that poop out, because anyone who tells you that not pooping is because you're using all the protein is straight up lying. Clearly the solutions are to keep your protein moderate to low. No, protein isn't the main reason that you build muscle. You don't overeat protein to build muscle when you have a leaking gut, not enough stomach acid to even break down protein. You're not producing enough protease enzyme, or you have a gallbladder problem. It is insulin. And people do a carnivore diet thinking they're going to balance their insulin, but in fact they develop a physiological insulin resistance rebound. Now their blood sugar is spiking on carnivore and they can't figure out why. It's because you're not in ketosis, and then you're eating all that meat. Meat, like I mentioned in the prior video, is not going to restore glycogen, which is giving you energy, which then affects your thyroid, once already mentioned. You really, really have to be concerned about motility, the ability to digest, stomach acid, and insulin sensitivity is what's developed when you're in ketosis. That means you only need a little bit of insulin to actually drive protein, which is what insulin does as well, drive protein into the muscle cells so they will grow. If your blood sugar is up here and the insulin is getting broken, you're going to have to eat copious amounts. Like, you are going to have problems. That's not going to work. You're going to have to eat copious amounts of protein, which is going to make you fat and maybe grow a little muscle while tanking your immune system. No. How about going to bed early? Well, a lot of you who come from the carb world, who go to a carnivore ketogenic diet, and you're using the carbs, right? Because it spikes your blood sugar and drops and puts you to sleep. That's what wine does. And so you're using carbs, and then you take out the carbs, and now you can't sleep. Yes, doing an all meat or ketogenic carnivore diet can do that to you. Or snake diet, where people think that you just need to eat meat and salt. That's a whole nother discussion. You're not going to become insulin sensitive if your body is stressed out, if you're not sleeping, if you are constipated. Therefore, the ability to regulate your sex hormones, even post-menopause, even if you have andropause as an older male, or even a younger male develop andropause, which is like the female menopause, you know, where guys can't grow any muscle because they have too much xenoestrogens entering the body. just doing the diet alone is not going to fix you. It's so much more complicated than that. I don't remember if I mentioned plaque on the teeth. A lot of people who are doing a carnivore diet for some reason start developing more plaque than normal. You think that cutting out carbs or cutting out all vegetables, even the cruciferous type, which is the dark, bitter family, is going to cure everything. It doesn't. And often what happens is your body gets used to the beef. In the beginning, all the inflammatory markers go down. But then, all of a sudden, because you don't have enough short-chain fatty acids in the gut, you're not dealing with your life problems and stress, the gut is still jacked up. You're not in ketosis. Now the body's completely on fire. It cooled it down. Now it's reverting and inverting, like cortisol. And now your body is starting to gain weight. And now your insulin's becoming resistant because you can develop physiological insulin resistance rebound effect. Or now your thyroid becomes underactive because you're not restoring glycogen within the muscle, because meat can't do that. So you have to either be in ketosis or you have to eat carbs. But a lot of people don't eat enough fat. They keep eating copious amounts of protein, thinking that it's the fat that makes you gain weight, when it's actually your blood sugar, which skyrockets. Too much of it. I know there's more, but let's go into chronic fatigue and depression. A lot of people who go on these diets, they're depressed because they don't have glycogen. They don't have that stored glycogen, like I mentioned. So their body continues to break down, which messes with your neurochemistry. You're not sleeping deep enough because your blood sugar is bouncing, which is another one. How sleep is destroyed by doing carnivore and ketogenic diets when you're not in ketosis. Yeah, so blood sugar bouncing, which spikes people's A1C, and they can't understand why their blood sugar is spiking, or their insulin is rising, or their A1C is rising on meat. It's because your body's eating itself. I know. And if your body's eating itself, then that tanks your immune system. That's why so many people have their hair fall out when they do a carnivore and ketogenic diet. Or some people have it happen immediately. And if I digress back to the histamine, so many people are literally having to go from beef to lamb because now they can't tolerate beef, or now they can't tolerate eggs. Rotating of the meats, getting enough fat, getting your sodium, potassium, magnesium in balance, going to bed extra early, exercising and developing GLUT4 receptors, testing your blood sugar. Don't carb refeed. That'll skyrocket your blood sugar. And there's so many more things, like vertigo and diarrhea from electrolyte imbalances, which I've mentioned before. Comment below. Are any of these symptoms happening to you? Are you becoming more depressed because you're not in ketosis? Do you have brain fog? Are you more tired? Do you have energy, but then you don't have energy? Are you craving sugar? Because if you're craving sugar on a carnivore or ketogenic diet, you're not in ketosis. And no, if your urine strip is clear, it means you're either not in ketosis or you're in ketosis. And you should be using a blood glucometer anyway, and I really need to talk about CGMs, how they're kind of not that useful, and how a blood prick glucometer is so much better. Comment below, share this content. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Woo! My Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. I do run a course where I cover all 3 diets. Yes, where I go more deep dive into some of these subjects. Like today, somebody asked me, how did I get rid of my melasma? And I said, well, for me, it was a magnesium deficiency, which was affecting my hormones. And shabam, I started having dark spots all over my face. Now, that may not be for the next person. Maybe they have enough magnesium, but maybe their DHEA and the conversion into sodium, estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, maybe perhaps because of your skin or your digestive or a leaky gut, your sleep quality. It may not just be magnesium or too much histamine within the body. Comment below, share this content. If you need a consultation, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I feel like each person comes away with something just sheerly from the enormity and gargantuan, tritungus, humongous amount of people that I've worked with, where we're having this conversation. You're going to learn something. When people ask me where do I get my information from, it's you guys. Been around a long time, and I give a shite. I love people, and it's no fun just figuring it out for yourself. And we can share that, and we can come together more as people, as humans. The world would be a better place, I think. Take accountability and work for the better good. All right. 18 years and counting, strict keto, and they said that women shouldn't do that, but they didn't have enough data, but I do, and I'm out. Energy at 57, going on 58. Weird, right?